Welcome back to Soapbox Heroes. Welcome back. Woo, that last segment was a little deep. I'm over here, made me warm. I said it's hot. We over here really getting into it. We were talking about Derek Chauvin and George Floyd and the fact that I don't think that he should have even been on the police force. I think that him being on the police force itself was an indictment of the system. All right. But we're going to move on. We're going to move on. We're going to shake it off. We're going to talk about where we go? The rhinestone cowboy. The rhinestone cowboy. Can we call him the rhinestone cowboy? Is that fair? Well, no, that's what I called him, the rhinestone cowboy. I don't know what he called himself. I'm going to be honest, full stop off the top. I only know of one song that he has made ever, and it was the cowboy song with Billy Ray Cyrus. That's the only song I have ever heard of from Lil Nas X. So I can't sit here and judge him based on his artistry.
I didn't even know that was his song at first.
Yeah, that was his song. And then I do remember there were some problems because the country music industry didn't want to accept it as a country song or something like that. Remember that?
Yeah, but it wasn't. I'm see.
That's what the country music they didn't want to accept him.
He was nominated for an award for some kind of country award. It wasn't recognized as a country song, but the award was a country recognized something.
Right.
And the pop version or the pop element of the song, yeah, that won the award in the country category.
Right.
They
and see,
too happy about that.
And country music is the good old boy music. It's this good old boy music. And so Billy Ray Cyrus did some vouching for him, and some other people did some vouching for him, and next thing you know, the Rhinestone Cowboy was accepted into the country music world. And then later on, he comes out to say, hey, I'm gay, you know what I mean? And he goes on and do his thing. He gets praise, applause for that, the courage that it takes in the male-dominated industry of hip-hop, which I don't agree. He is a hip-hop artist. I don't think he is a rap artist. Based on the one song that I heard, though, like I said, I can't give a full analysis. What do you think, Baby Brian? Do you think what do you consider him? Do you know more? Do you consider him a hip-hop artist, a rap artist?
I think he came into, if he ever did do some rapping, it didn't stand out to the point, at least not even enough for him to be recognized before he took that grand leap into pop music. And now that's just he's a pop artist. He's when you get to the point where you're teeter-tottering that line of what kind of music you're producing, but it's like at the end of the day, the foundation everybody knows is stemming from rap. It's stemming from hip-hop. It's like, oh no, that's why.
But his teeter-totter don't teeter nor totter near rap or hip-hop. You're saying
pop.
It's pop. Well,
it's popular. It's what
popular.
People. That's why it's trendy. That's why he goes through the fanatics. It's that category. Also dealt I believe that's entwined with the culture. So if you're like you said, the shock value.
The shock value.
Sure, if your song is shock value, but then the element of how you portray that and how you shoot that,
right,
and how you encapsulate that in a video, in a photo shoot. Oh man, that's just you pumping. It's going from a shock value of just a small little static shock to a whole kaboom.
It's going from a small static shock to a kaboom. You know what? I think that what Lil Nas X is doing at this point in time is shock factor. At the same time, I don't think that it's nothing new. I think we just have the internet to kind of make it seem bigger than it would seem in the past. I also think that Lil Nas X, I think he's doing a lot of what he's doing. Of course, everything is strategic. These things are strategic. Just if we back up and just, people will say, well, there's no agenda. He's just expressing himself. Well, even that expression
It's calculated.
It's calculated. down to the word, down to the science, down to the math, down to the imagery, down to the colors. And you know why? Because you got to know what light bounces off of what color the lighting just for the set. Everything is strategic. Everything. And so none of this is an accident. What Lil Nas X is doing is, in my opinion, is extending his 15 minutes of fame into an hour.
Yeah.
Into an hour.
He's riding out the encore.
That's in my opinion. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, he is. I mean, it's just how far is he willing to go? And I mean, I think that's the main and number one question that it comes to when you already got it understood. Like, okay, that's what kind of guy this is.
That's what kind of guy this guy is.
Okay, you're riding on popularity, trendy, shock value. Like your moral spine just completely crippled. Like you just straight up don't give a blip.
Well, what he may care, but what does he care about? Again, when we talk about, I always say this, when people say the lesser of two evils, I say it depends on what you consider evil. So do you think the things that he's saying and propagating, do you think he actually means it? Do you think he's actually in love with the devil? And I really don't think he's gay. I think he's using
it's
that.
Your form of expression. Your expression is a external, like that's somewhere within you. You know what I'm saying? You can't just share something just completely fugazi and not and do it to such passionate lengths as to sell it, and it not be nowhere within you. Like I remember,
hey, you know what, Baby Brown? Hold on.
Look back into.
There are hip hop artists that have been selling murder, death, kill, and wouldn't bust a grape at a food fight.
And if somebody
at a winery,
let somebody try them.
Even if somebody try them.
That's fine.
This is what I'm saying.
They could very well be encouraging that energy into their life though, and they not be ready for it. But the fact that they're speaking that like they about that, okay, that's keep speaking that. It's all the energy circulating either way. So either that's in you already or it's coming. Get ready for it.
So, what you're saying is the manifestation of the things that you're speaking about. So you're saying, since he's speaking about that, whether or not he really mean it, he's manifesting those things.
You playing with it.
He's playing with it.
So it's either in you because it's a play thing anyway, and it's something you do on a regular, or it's coming and you just embracing it. You're expressing it.
You on another level today, huh?
Let's call it for what it is. Like you talk.
You know what? I get it about the manifestation, about saying things and putting them in the world and putting them in the air, and then they come back on you. I'm understanding that. What I'm saying is, does he even mean it in the first place? The devil worship stuff, I'm going to be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if he did. I personally don't think that. I think there are a lot of people that like to use a lot of movements at this point in time because
I believe dark energy moves unintentional.
I believe so too.
So it's like
I believe dark energy is very intentional and it moves unintentional.
Both, but some of the stuff that can really get you that you just not see, and that I'm talking about the people that it comes through as like that it takes over. You know what I'm saying? We ain't gonna get into no Exodus type shit, but man, I don't know, man. It's just like. Some people just go they just embrace that dark side and then they just cool with it.
And that's what I'm saying.
Like your boy Chauvin.
I don't doubt that he has embraced that, but I do know that these things are trendy. Like, and it might sound weird, but I can see how for somebody in his position, how coming out saying I'm gay could be trendy enough to keep you from to get your 15 minutes of fame to 30 minutes.
Because now the whole movement, everything being pushed now, the whole American culture now is feminized. So it's not enough to just be gay, because I mean that's gonna be, keep looking at statistics. I mean that's gonna just be another statistic.
This is what I mean. Okay, when I say that I think that he may not even be gay, and why it may be strategic for him to push that is because oftentimes people think that they need everybody to have a fan base. But no, all you need is dedicated people to have a fan base. And so he don't need everybody to be his fan base, but that fan base in particular is a very loyal fan base, a very understanding fan base, and they kind of move with whatever whim that you do because you are already acquiescing to what they want to believe. And so it's just like these major companies right now, like GM and Cadillac and all that. They do all these initiatives for black people as far as commercials and symbolism. But at the same time, we see that Byron Allen wrote a letter yesterday showing how GM are like give a dismal amount of their advertising dollars to black people, to black advertisers, to black companies. The point to where it's like it's not even a blip. But they will come out there and say, we're doing this for Black Women's Month. They will give to Mick and Mallory a commercial. But overall, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything.
This mess gets so old. It's a regular life.
And so what I'm saying is these are stunts.
Yeah.
These are stunts to get you further and further in the algorithm, the social algorithm. And now attention is currency. Mm-hmm. There are people who would even take attention over currency, maybe because the attention can turn into currency.
It compounds.
But what I'm saying is this. I can see it very advantageous for Lil Nas X to just say this just because it works. Yeah. And I'm not saying that he's not. I'm saying I don't know, but I can see it. Again, all this stuff is strategized.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. After what he just did, okay, and so if you're listening over there, if you NewEarthRadioWorld.com listeners, if you don't know what's going on, there is a pop singer, and I call him more like rock artist because if we go back not too far in time, remember when heavy metal and rock and roll artists were doing the same live fast, die young, real tight clothes, dyeing their hair different colors, the fishnets, the heavy drug uses, the heavy devil worshiping, the heavy idolatry and certain symbols and stuff. This stuff is not new nor germane to hip-hop music, to rap music, or black music in general, if that isn't even a word, black music. I would like to just call it music, but since we like to categorize. But if we do want to go back not very long ago, we had all this going on in the heavy metal, rock and roll type of thing. Do you guys remember Marilyn Manson? Do you remember Ozzy Osbourne? Didn't he bit a bat head off at a concert? All these people did what Baby Brown was saying earlier was a sort of embracing of the dark side. When we were drug dealers, they were drug users. And they called themselves rebels. They were the outsiders. They were the different. They were the alienated. And now it's the same thing with these young, what some people call hip-hop artists. See, this is really just repeating itself just in a different form. It's just shocking us because we didn't see it so much with us.
Well, I don't think we expected it to embrace that because, okay, the LGBT and the gay, that was something that we wasn't accepted for a long time. You talk about Scarlet Letter, you talk about just the history of man and how that is like just been accepted up to where it's now. I mean, strides. You know, I can tip my hat if you've been pushing for that.
And my thing is, and acceptance is good. You can accept something and still not like it. And you can live in harmony and still not like the same things. I think that's where they get it twisted. People think that you have to like and embrace the same things to live in harmony, when that, in my opinion, my friend, is not the truth.
I just know there's certain levels that come with certain energies, and yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that. If you missed it, you gotta miss it. I some things I just can't get into, especially on air. So it's like,
well, Lil Nas X, I think this was a great marketing strategy. I think it's and when I say a great market strategy, I'm saying great in terms of success, because I think he was very successful with it. People are talking about it. I'm sure he's gotten millions of views, millions of hits. Now
he's feeded into that under that concept of all publicity is good publicity.
Exactly. Now, when it comes down to the social algorithm of the whole thing,
all publicity is good publicity.
Yeah, but now when we talk about, and people like to say, we shouldn't talk about morality, this, that, and the third, but this is why I would bring it to, well, I can't, look,
You're going to strike
a
deeper nerve the closer you
I'm going to say this. I'm not going to relate devil worshiping to morality, because people who worship the devil think that that's the moral thing to do.
Right. Oh, yeah, some of them.
Okay? And so what I am talking to is the projections that he's giving out. The kind of,
vibes.
The vibes. It's not the God vibes. You know what I'm saying? He's not giving out them vibes. You know what I'm saying? They want the stripper pole thing. And I'm in all full disclosure, I haven't seen the whole video. I've seen like still pictures of it, but I don't have a desire to see it. And so I'm not going to talk about the whatever you would consider artistry or whatever word that you would put behind it. But the images that I saw, they're not good if you're like a youngster. And this is why I'm going to bring the young people into this real quick. And this is why when people talk about agendas, they be like, there's no such thing as an agenda. And I'm going to say that's...
keep telling yourself that if you want
and I'm going to say that's...
And I believe if you are the person that tells yourself that, you and who come after you will reap. Like, you keep believing that, and that those the little things that you keep writing off, that's gonna seep into your legacy, dog. You keep writing it off if you want to.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying is it's bullpucky. That's what my neighbor Gloria used to say back. That's bullpucky. Hey, bullpucky. And this is why I'm gonna say again, when we talk about strategery, I don't think people understand the level of thinking and mapping out that goes into entertainment and releases and drops and next steps, especially when you have somebody that has captivated a large part of the world, not even just a country, because that song he did was worldwide, okay? So now this is what you do. You start sending this guy to, you go on in Sesame Street. Go on in Sesame Street. Now go on and read some books to the kids. And you know who love your song the most? That old country road song? Kids. So the kids are captivated first. So
they doing the dance.
They doing everything. The city kids want to ride horses and wear chaps and all that. And so what people will say is, well, it's up to you what your kids do. But the truth is, nobody can keep a hold of their kids all the time. I remember when Bone Thugs and Harmony was having us listen to records, to CDs backwards, and they with the song Mr. Ouija and all that. If the parents knew what was going on, they would have been pissed, just like some of the parents that find out about this stuff are pissed. And so when people say, well, what about when that came out? Well, nobody was tripping. Yes, people were tripping. It just, people weren't tripping on this massive level because there was no way for provocation such as the internet. You see what I'm saying? We didn't have this hyper lightning
just
speed,
moves faster.
this news that we have.
You can find out anything you want at any time, but at the same time, everything is tracked.
Yeah.
So they spitting your algorithm back at you,
right?
Even if you don't want it.
Even if you don't want it, and that's what I'm talking about, the social algorithm for the children. Because even if you don't want it as a parent, remember they baited the kid in with the cowboy song. And then Joyner Lucas, I saw, said something like, well, he started with this song, the kids love him, and then out of nowhere he come with this. And then Lil Nas X, his response was similar to, and I'm not speaking verbatim, but I'm paraphrasing. He was like, that song was about lean and adultery. If you let your kids listen to that, that was your fault. Now look, I'm going to throw a quick twist in here real quick. I do think that it's a touch of, and I'm not going to use the word homophobia, because a phobia is something that you're afraid of. Arachnophobia, there goes a spider. Right. A phobia. Right. And I don't think people are necessarily afraid of something. You can dislike something and not be afraid of it.
You can I still feel like I understand.
Yeah,
I understand.
Yeah. And so, but what I did get is a sense of a lot of people, they just didn't like the open acts of gayness in it. And I will say that because if you weren't mad when DMX was sitting there with resembled blood dripping all off of his body on his CD covers, and flesh of my flesh, blood of my blood, and his little episodes with Damien. You know who Damien was, right?
Oh, man.
You see what I mean? So if those things didn't bother you, and the Lil Nas X thing did bother you, I would say it's because of the open gayness. Now, should you be able to be bothered by that? That's your own moral purpitude. That's up to you.
Yeah.
But I don't think people should have to hide whether what they're mad at or what they're displeased with, because what it does is it almost makes the whole thing seem hypocritical, because what Lil Nas X is saying, well, you guys will accept this. Why won't you accept this? And then he actually has a point, and you knew he was ready for these points before he even released it. I love Biggie Smalls. Love Biggie. I'm a huge Biggie fan, but I do know that Biggie has some clothing coming out, and on the label, it said 666. You see what I mean? I do understand that these things have already been within hip-hop. Remember, it was just about 5-6 years ago. What song was that with Lil Wayne when he was in the bathtub with the women and they had the reptile eyes and they had the blood all on them and stuff like that? And he even references something of a devil worship on the song. Something about your soul. I'll find it. And when you watch the imagery, but at the same time, there were a lot of people out there like, watch out for this. This is evil. So what I'm trying to say is there are always people who do see that and they're displeased with it. Who I am speaking in reference to right now are the people who are okay with one and not okay with what Lil Nas X did. I would say that's because of the open gayness. What do you think?
I mean, I could definitely see that. It'd be if you had a problem between the two, that probably like capture majority of the people where, okay, that's the reason why. But then I couldn't even just jump right in and be like, okay, that's why. I want to be like, okay. It's so finicky. There's so many details into why you might have an issue with it versus like the gayness, or like you could just be approaching it from a completely religious aspect.
But that's my point. If you are, that means you approach those other situations from the same aspect.
Right.
And that just makes you consistent. You see what I mean? There's no argument. So if you approach, and that's my whole point, if you approach those other situations and you had the same angst toward them, if you did.
Because you could still have, like, understand, you have those religious people who still, Christian, they preach what they want from the Bible. They twist it as
those I call cafeteria Christians.
Yeah,
you know what that means?
That's a lot of them.
When you or buffet Christians. What happens when you go to the buffet? You stand in line and do what?
Serve yourself.
And you get whatever you want.
Get whatever you want.
You don't get everything that's there. You might not like the way the fish look. You might not like the way the potato salad smells. So you leave those and you take what you want. And so we do see a lot of that. But I don't want to just relegate it to just Christians. I've seen people of all denominations, all faiths, atheists, this, that, and the third, who have felt one way about a certain group of situations and a different way about another situation that was the same with one slight variation.
Right.
With one slight variation, and the variation isn't slight.
So why I say that is because you can have people of all different beliefs. They still, and that's why I believe, like you say, Nas X has merit when he pulled the move he did. Because, I mean, that even within those different creases, who was still like, oh, yeah, I love DMX. I came up on DMX. I ride with this. But you ask him about this here.
Yeah, and everybody knew what was going on. We used to hear that in the music. It was a big part of it. Yeah. And there were people who were disturbed by it, so I'm never going to make it like it was just something that happened and nobody cared. Well, I don't know if it was as many people disturbed, but let me add this. But at the same time, I can understand if somebody's saying, I don't like all the overt sexual acts in certain things. Because if they could say that again, I didn't see it, but I heard about the stripping for the devil and this, that, and the third. But if you also feel the same if those were females, you see what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is, if you don't like something, that's fine. Just don't like it across the board. Don't make exceptions for the people you like and only hate it for the people you dislike. And I think Lil Nas X, I think he is a cross, I told you guys yesterday, between Tekashi 6ix9ine and Marilyn Manson. And he has their marketing teams together. And they're pushing this stuff forward. And they know what they're doing. And I think his next stunt is going to do like a group of skits with Billy Porter, because he is also someone who looks for the next stunt. You see, this is the thing. When people know you more for your stunts than for your music, you always have to outdo your last stunt, not your last song. Again, I've never heard this song. Let that sink in. Think we 20 minutes into this? I've never heard the song.
I haven't either. So.
More press, more publications have been put out, more podcasting time, more news time, more, what do they call it? Water cooler conversation time. Time has been spent talking about his actions and not his music.
That tell you.
So that's what I'm saying. They are selling stunts. But you know who don't sell stunts? We don't. On NewEarthRadioWorld.com. We're about to take a quick break. We're going to come back and hit you guys with something else. Hey, it's the Lil Nas effect.
We got Nas in the soapbox today. We locking him in this business.
We locking him in. Hey, and you know who gave him words of encouragement? Big Sean.
Yeah, we heard
and he told him that he was going to be listening to Deep Reverence. And I will give you guys some Deep Reverence if you go to NewEarthRadioWorld.com and tap in. Go ahead and jump on in there. Go ahead. You can find me on Instagram, Irvin.Tyrone, or you can put in Soapbox Heroes. Come on down to the Soapbox Studio. We got Baby Bron, BAPE_BRON. If you want to know what that means, you should ask him. We'll be right back right after this. What's going on, YouTubes?